Hello everyone, after a long time being gone, I am back and I'm back with a book haul for you guys. Sorry that I've totally neglected my YouTube account, but it's because I've been so busy. As you guys know, I came out with a poetry book. So this is my little baby, Then the Flowers Found Me, Prose Unspoken. She has 80 poems, all touching on sorrow, happiness, loss, love, despair. I poured my heart into this baby. It took me basically 3 years to make because it has 2 years worth of writings that I've chosen out specifically just for this book and poems that I wrote specifically for this book. And I'm so excited to share this with everyone because it's my heart. It's my debut baby and she's so precious. And I don't know if you're able to see, but yeah, so there's that. That's why I've been MIA lately, really prepping her up and spicing her up. But let me show you guys what we're here for. So I have, as many people know, addiction to books. So I have a really huge book haul. I'm gonna try to go through them really fast and just say the descriptions because it's a lot. Like, it's 80 books, guys. Like 80 books, I think. So let's start with the first one. So I got The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. This one I actually got for free. This one is about a young boy who loses his mom when he's young, and he comes across this painting that he works at a museum that is connected to her, and I believe it's the little bird right there. I got this book because it's not on my list, but it is, I believe, a Pulitzer Prize. So I was interested in reading it, and I do have another one of her books on my list, and a friend of mine had told me that she was her favorite writer, Donna Tartt. So there's that one. Then I got Violet Bent Backwards Over the Grass by Lana Del Rey. Anyone who knows me knows I love Lana. Like, I would die for her type of love. I also have an autographed signed copy. This is not the one. I actually have it framed up on my wall. But I'm so excited to read this poetry collection. I feel that Lana's poetry is very eccentric and very weird. I feel you have to be there in order to understand it and know what she's talking about because she does go off into these weird tangents. But I love her music in general. So I know that I'm going to love this poetry book. And I said photography because her book does have photography in it, which I really love. And that's something that I definitely want to dabble in the future with future poetry books that I write on my own, like poetry, and then a picture to go along with it. Next I have, these ones I got for free. It's The Life of the Seashore. I love nature. So anything that I come across in nature, I want to read it. I want to know more about it. I want to know what I don't know. So this one has like a lot of pictures of the ocean stuff and like animals, and it goes in depth into it. So I was really interested in this one, and I actually got it for free as well. So hoorah. Along with that one, I got The Life of the Forest. I love forests. It comes up a lot in my poems. I use it as metaphors all the time, and I just love the beauty of it. I feel like I want to educate myself more on nature because there's always so much more to know that we don't know, and just to delve into it, I love it. I got this quick one, 10-Minute Plays Volume 3 from Actors Theater of Louisville. It's plays, I believe they're like 1-act plays, maybe has like 7 of them. Then I got more 10-minute plays from Actors Theater of Louisville, which is another one just the same as that, Samuel French. Then I got Off Broadway Festival Plays 23rd Series. So this is as well 1-act plays. It comes with 5 of them. Then as well, Off Broadway Festival Plays 13th Series. It has as well another 5 1-acts. I really love those books because I feel like I could find 1-acts that anyone can do on the spur, or you could even use it for scenes, which I do a lot in acting class. And I feel like you just learn a lot from an actor's perspective. Then I got Ibsen Plays. It has Rosmersholm, The Lady from the Sea, and Little Eyolf. I only got it for the last play, but I was interested in seeing what other plays that he's done in his production. And I got Maids of Honor by Joan, Casademont. This is a play as well. It's a full-length play, and it's about bridesmaids, of course, Maids of Honor. Then I got this one I'm so excited for, The Poetry of Pablo Neruda. I came across this book maybe a month before I got it, and it was expensive. But then I came across this one, and it was like $10 cheaper, and I was like, bruh, I'm there. And I love Pablo Neruda. So this is like a more extensive collection of his work. I did read reviews and some people said that not all of his poems are on there, which is kind of upsetting to me because I really wanted something that has everything that he's ever written. So I feel like even after I read this, I'm still going to collect other works of his just so that I don't miss anything of his that he's written because I love all of his work. Next we have Transformations by Sexton. I've never read anything of hers. Wait, take that back. I did like 3 pages on Libby, but she writes a lot of fairy tale poems. So I'm very interested in it. I want to have a book of hers physically instead of just reading it on my iPad. So I decided to get this one. I got my favorite poet ever, New and Selected Poems by Mary Oliver. Anyone who knows me knows I love Mary Oliver. She writes a lot of poems based on nature, life, and very much being relieved and just taking in the beauty of everything that is around you. So I love her poems. When I came across this is heaven to me. I love her work. So that's one. And I got also The Life of the Mountains, which is as well another nature one. Then we have The Impossible Lives of Gretel Wells. This one, I believe it's a woman who has multiple lives and seeing which one she wants to choose, and the clock is ticking. That's all I really know. Little clock. Then we have George R.R. Martin, A Clash of Kings. I actually want to say something about this series. So I have been told that I will not like Game of Thrones, the book at least, but because it's very extensive and goes along a lot in history and saying a lot of backstory, which when I have those kind of books, I tend to honestly not like because I'm like, you're taking away from the plot and I don't care about what happened like 10,000 years ago. But George R.R. Martin has a way of putting it that I'm just like, I'm in it. Like I'm in all the lore of these realms and everything, and it's just so rich in language. My favorite characters from the book are for sure Daenerys and I forget his name. Tyrion, Daenerys and Tyrion. So they're my favorite characters. They're also my favorite characters in the show, but I stopped at season 5. I've been told to finish it and I've been told to not finish it. It's not worth it. So I don't know, maybe one day I will, but just that right now, not really. I think I have too many books to read. Then I got The Bride and the Beast by Teresa Medeiros. I believe her last name is said. This one is kind of a weird one, guys. So this one is about a woman who gets trapped in a castle by a dragon and then she falls in love with him. So I am kind of skeptical because I'm like, is this bestiality? Who knows? But I came across it, I remember, on a fantasy reading list. So that's why I put it, because it's pretty interesting. I don't really like fantasy, but some of them catch my eye. Then I got There Before the by Ali Smith. And this one is about a dinner party and a little boy goes and locks himself in his room, and then it's told from the perspective of the other 4 dinner guests who don't know one another and trying to get him to come out. So I love that. I usually skip on stories that are told from multiple perspectives because I get kind of lost, but I found it interesting for this one because one is an elderly person, I believe the other one is a caretaker, and I just love that they're all at the door trying to get him to come out for the dinner party, and like we all try to find out who the boy is through these people. Then I got The 10th Insight by James Redfield. This is the sequel to The Celestine Prophecy, which is a spiritual adventure fiction book. These ones are very insightful. They're very much on spirituality, wisdom, and figuring out about life, which I really, really love. So I'm really excited to delve into this one because I do believe that in this book, he goes into like different worlds, like been trying to figure out like death and everything. So that should be interesting. Then I got The Wedding Date by Jasmine Guillory. This one, I read her book, The Proposal, which I'm going to be honest, when I first got it, I was like, I don't want to read this. I'm so tired of romance books. But it was actually really, really good. So I'm hoping that this one will be really, really good. And I love the color. It's me Queen of Hearts vibes from Alice in Wonderland. So this one is about this couple that goes on a wedding date. I don't know why I said that because it's in the title. So then I got You by Caroline Kepnes. I love this show. Penn Badgley in it. Y'all, a man that can kill and text you back. What am I saying? No, I'm totally kidding. But I love this series, and I know that I'm going to love the book because I skimmed through it really quick, and it has such rich language. I love that he mentions other literature. I love that he's so crazy and manipulative, and he thinks that it's okay, and he's doing it all in the right sense, but he's truly not because he's psycho. So this one is another one that I'm so excited to delve into when I do. Next we got Brain on Fire by Susan Cahalan. This is a memoir. It's about a woman who had a mental spiral in a month after graduating from university. So I'm very interested in this one. Whenever I read memoirs, I really love reading about women, and especially about cases where it has to do with mental or drug abuse, just because it's so interesting to me to delve into that world. Then I got The Princess Saves Herself in this one by Amanda Lovelace. This is my first poetry book of hers. So I'm super excited to read this. I opened up to a few pages and I felt like I could really relate to some of these poems. It's really about a woman finding her own voice without a man or anything like that, which, ladies, that's the way it is. The next one we have is What Do We Know by Mary Oliver. Like I said, I love my girl Mary Oliver. I need all of her poetry books, honestly. There's other ones on this pile of hers that I have here. So this is not the only one, and the other one is not the only one either. And I got How We Became Human by Joy Harjo, which is another collection of poetry. I've never read any work of hers, so I'm so excited to delve into this because she is a Native American and she writes a lot about nature, which nature poems, like I said, is what I love. So I'm so excited to go into this. Then I got Don't Ever Give Up Your Dreams edited by Susan Poley Schutz. This one is a random find that I found. It has a lot of poems of other poets, and it's as well accompanied by drawings, which I find so pretty. Then we got A Streetcar Named Desire by Tennessee Williams. I've never read a play of his, so I got this one. I know a friend of mine had performed it in class with another classmate, and I heard it was good. So I know that Marlon Brando came out in it. No, I have not seen the movie. I know I should. Someone's probably going to tell me. But I'm so excited to get into this one. Next, I got Sweet Dark by Savannah Brown, which is another poetry collection, her latest one. I'm so excited to read this. I've never read a poetry book of Savannah Brown yet. I know her other one was Graffiti. So I follow her on Instagram. I love her work. She's so relatable, I feel like, and I love her poetry videos. So I'm so excited to delve into this because I feel like it has to do a lot with existentialism. So next we got The Hidden Messages in Water. This was a random one. It's by Masuro Emoto. It talks about how if we talk to water, it actually changes in the molecules, or how if you speak bad to it, it changes as well. So it says a lot about how the way you talk to yourself, how that can affect you, since we're made out of water mostly. I got In a Dark, Dark Wood by Ruth Ware. I honestly forget the synopsis of this one, but I read another Ruth Ware book. I'm going to be honest, I wasn't crazy for it. I'm hoping that this one won't disappoint. Jazz by Toni Morrison. It's honestly so hard for me to get into Toni Morrison. I have a friend who really loves her, but I feel like whenever I read her stuff, I feel like I have to have a family tree to figure out who is connected to who and figure out whose lines and lives cross together. But I'm still super excited to get into this one. Then we got another Joy Harjo one, which is She Had Some Horses, which is as well nature poems. Then I have all of these ones together, which is poetry collections. It's different ones throughout the years. I actually really love this poetry because it's very much different poets that they put all together. I do find that some of the poems in the book can be complex, but it's honestly, I feel like it's good to challenge yourself to read stuff that you may not understand or get different viewpoints and read poetry that is different than what you usually read or consume. They're sticking together. So that's all of them. Next we have Three A Rabbi Song by Zeina Hashem Beck. This one was a random find. It's a poetry collection, and I've never read any of her work, but I came across this one randomly and decided to get it since it is poetry. Next we have Infra Green by Kate Bingham. I've never read any of her work either, so this one was a random find, and it's poetry as well. Silence in the Snowy Fields by Robert Bly. He's edited a lot of work by Pablo Neruda and Cesar Vallejo, so I'm so excited to see his own poetry and see how he writes, because I believe it has as well to do with nature. Then we got Reason for Hope by Jane Goodall. I've never read anything of Jane Goodall. I have a friend who admires her a lot, so I decided to read up on her myself and see what she does. I know that she works with apes and monkeys, so I'm super excited to read that. I got Men Explain Things to Me by Rebecca Solnit, which is collections of essays. I'm so excited to read that one. I'm glad I came across that one. Next we have I Hate Everyone Starting With Me by Joan Rivers. Anyone who knows me knows I love Joan Rivers. That is my girl. I love her humor, and I just love that she's so cold and honest. So I'm so excited to get into this because it's tidbits about just everything that she hates, including herself. So who can relate? I'm kidding. But next we got Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This was gifted to me by a friend. I always came across this book on Bookstagram, but I never found the interest in it. So I'm excited that I honestly got it for free because now I can see what all the hype is about. We got The Performance of Heartbreak and Other Plays by Scott Kahn, which is a collection of plays once again. We got We Are Three by Rumi. Listen, Rumi is another one. Him and Mary Oliver and Pablo Neruda, put them all in one room with me. Mind blown. So I'm so excited to get into this. I have a few other ones of his because we also have Night and Sleep by him. So I'm so excited. Rumi is poetry, by the way. Next we have Dog Songs by Mary Oliver. I told y'all I was not done with the Mary Oliver. I love my girl. That's poems about her dog through her dog's perspective, which is so interesting. Like, genius. Next we have the collected poems of Octavio Paz. I'm so happy. When I say I'm so happy I came across a collection poetry of his work because Octavio Paz, oh my God. Nature, existentialism, life, beauty, love, like everything just in his poetry, and it's just mind blown. I have one book of his that I read and I was just like, how do you do it, sir? Him and Pablo Neruda, I'm telling y'all, genius. I love Latin American poets. So I'm so excited to get into this, and I love that it's as well, one side will show the poem in Spanish and then it'll show it in English. So amo. Next we got another Octavio Paz one, which is early poems. Even though I got the other one, I got this one because that book said that it started in 1955 and after to his death. And this one was before. So I'm like, since I want to read everything of his, I need this too. So next we got Selected Poems by Langston Hughes. I read one of his poems in an anthology book that I had, and I really, really liked it because he very much wrote about the African American experience back in the day. So I really, really am excited to read this because I know that it's going to be so good. Next we have The House on Mango Street by Sandra Cisneros. I've seen this book a lot on Bookstagram. Once again, I know that it's about the Latino experience, a woman. Next we got The Lion Game by Ruth Ware. I thought this one was on my list. It wasn't, which happens a lot to me. But I'm still going to read it. It's another Ruth Ware book. We'll see how it goes. We got The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success by Deepak Chopra. I think I fucked that name up. Language. But I think I messed that name up. But I'm so excited to get into this. I love books about spirituality and wisdom about life. We got Where the Heart Is by Billy Letts. This was a movie back in the day, I believe, with Natalie Portman. I think I'm wrong. But I love the movie, and I came across this book for like 50 cents. So I was like, I'm gonna get it. Next we got Not That I Could Tell by Jessica Strasser, which is about a crime that hits a small city. Next we got Loving a Woman in Two Worlds by Robert Bly. Once again, I'm excited to read this one because it touches a lot about love and love with grief. So I really am interested in that. It's a poetry collection as well. Next we got I Touch the Earth Touches Me by Hugh Prather, which is as well a poetry collection. I very much got this one because of the title. I love nature, like I said. We got The Book of Illusions by Paul Auster. If I mess up a lot of names, I'm so sorry. And I talk really fast. So The Book of Illusions by Paul Auster, which is about a man who sees a magician on TV and writes a letter to him, assuming that he is dead, but he is actually alive when he receives a letter from him. Next we got my favorite author, favorite writer, Pablo Coelho, The Winner Stands Alone, which is about Hollywood, Cannes, actors, and what lengths people will go to fulfill their dreams. So that should be really interesting because I love his work so much. Along with that one of his, I also got The Pilgrimage by Pablo Coelho. I'm so excited to get into this stuff. I never actually knew that he written these books. So I'm so happy I came across them because I don't put his books on my list. I just let myself randomly come upon them. And I feel like when I do, that's just that the world or the universe telling me there's a message in here that you need to read. So we got Love in the Time of Cholera by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. The book got ruined a bit because of the little sticky tab under. But this one is so interesting. It's about a man who loves this woman. He's been pining for her for 50 years. He didn't end up marrying her. She married someone else. So he decides to just be a Don Juan. And then one day, 50 years later, her husband dies. and he plans to go back to the city where they are from, I believe the little town or the village, and win her back. So I'm so interested in that. I read 100 Years of Solitude. I'm going to be honest, I was not crazy for it, but I feel like this one will be good. Next we have Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zola Neale Hurston. I came across this one because a girl that I follow on Bookstagram has said that she reads it to her students as part of their curriculum. My school didn't do that, but I'm so excited to see this one. Read this one. Next we have The Seat of the Soul by Gary Zukov, which is as well a lot about spiritualism, wisdom about life and your soul. Next we got Ishmael by Danielle Quinn. This one I came across because someone had posted it on their Instagram and it looked pretty interesting to me. I know that it's about a guy who puts out an ad on a newsletter to have a pupil, and it goes through the whole adventure. So God, this is a pretty thick one. This one is 2,000 pages. It is War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. I personally love Leo Tolstoy. He writes a lot about Russian literature back in the day. I loved Anna Karenina. So this one is, it's gonna be a read and it's gonna be interesting. I had seen that someone said that they have a reading buddy for it since it's so many pages, but we'll see how it goes. I'm really excited to actually go into it because I love Leo Tolstoy. So we have Wild by Cheryl Strayed. I read her other book, which is, I believe, is Dear Sugar, and I really, really loved it. And I honestly got this one because it was mentioned in A Year in the Life of Gilmore Girls that Lorelai was reading it. So I came across it and I'm like, you know what? I'll read it too because I love Lorelai. So that's how we got that one, honestly. Then I got, once again, Mary Oliver, which is Swan. I'm so excited to read all of these books of her. I love her so much. Another one of hers, The True Robert and Other Adventures, which once again, poems about nature. That's what Mary Oliver is all about. Then I got Dear Moon by Frances Ivy. This was a random find. I don't know this poet personally, but I skimmed through some of the pages and it was a lot of poems about like your soul and inner self and healing, which I love poetry like that. Then I got another Rumi one, which is One-Handed Basket Weaving. Once again, I love Rumi because his poems are just about the universe and all this wisdom that's just, it's beautiful. And we are down to the last batch finally. Next we have Say I Am You by Rumi. Like I said, I love his work, so anything that I come across of his, I have to get it. Next I got Repair by C.K. Williams. I never personally read any of his poetry. This is a poetry collection, but I skimmed through it really quick and it actually seems pretty interesting, and it is as well winner of the Pulitzer Prize. Next we got The Glance by Rumi. Like I said, I have no self-control. I just love Rumi. I love Mary Oliver. I love Pablo Neruda. I love everyone. Next I got this one I came across randomly. Things I Wish I'd Said by Sarah DeNoyo. It's a poetry collection and it as well has pictures on it. So I'm super interested to delve into that. Next we got Latin American poetry. This was a random find. I personally have been wanting to find anthology of Latin American poets and I came across this one. So I'm super interested to delve into it. One side has it in Spanish and the other side has it in English, which I'm so excited for. Next we have Flowers of Evil by Charles Baudelaire, which is as well another poetry collection. Once again, Mary Oliver, American Primitive, which is another nature poetry collection. Rilke's Book of Hours, which is Rainer Maria Rilke. I love Rainer Maria Rilke as well. So when I came across this one, I was like, I need it because I love him. If you read Letters to a Young Poet, mind blown. That's all I have to say. Conversations with Friends by Sally Rooney, which is another fiction. I thought this one was on my list, but no, actually it was, but I forget the synopsis. Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. I personally, I'm going to be honest, I do not like Jane Austen. I read Emma, I didn't like it. I read Pride and Prejudice, I didn't like it. But I think I'm going to like this one because I read the plot and it seems so interesting. It's about two sisters and them not getting with the man that they love and then the torment and the suffering that they feel about it. So I'm so interested to read that. Next we got More Shadow Than Bird by Noir Al-Sadir, which is a random poetry collection that I came across at the bookstore. I personally really like getting random poets that I don't know about because I just want to see what everyone is writing poetry about, and I love supporting artists with anything that they write. Next we have Awareness by Anthony DeMello. I had heard this mentioned in a podcast, so I looked up on it and it seems really interesting. Stage Door by Anna Ferber and George S. Kaufman, which is another play. The Girls by Emma Klein, which is about woman and a cult, teenagers, and this one girl idolizing one of the older ones. That's all I really know. But I've seen this book on Bookstagram a lot, and I thought, let me see what it's about. Next, we got Selective Poems by Anna Akhmatova. I had this one on my list, and I had another poet that I follow who said that she really, really loves her poems. So when I got this one, I was like, I'm so excited to read her because I've never really read any of her work, but it actually seems pretty interesting. Next we got I Wrote This For You 2007 to 2017, which is by Ian S. Thomas. I really like this poetry collection because it has pictures as well, and then it has like the poem written on it. So I'm super excited to delve into this one. As you can tell, I've been on a fix where I want poetry and photography, which comes to this one as well, which is the same. Tender Bow, 50 Poems by Mary Lee, which is as well a lot of photography and the poems on it. I don't know this artist, but when I saw this one, I was like, it looks pretty interesting. Next, we got Embraced by the Light by Betty J. Eady, which is about a woman who had a near-to-death experience, went to heaven, came back, and wrote about it. Is it real? Who knows? But I want to read about it. Like, what is happening in the afterlife? This is my oldest book that I got. I'm so excited for this one. This one is the oldest book because it is from 1853. It is Female Poets of America. I'm going to put it down because I'm honestly so scared to hold it since it's so old. I'm scared of it crumbling down. But it's Female Poets of America from 1853. Has a lot of poets that I personally have never heard about. But I believe a lot of the poems in this collection are about women and their suffering and just their viewpoints from back then. I really want to start collecting antique books, at least by myself once a year around the holiday times, because they're so rare to come by. And I want to be able to treasure them, especially when it comes to poetry, because I love poetry as it is. So to come across antique ones, chef's kiss, magnifique. Next we got Go Tell It to the Mountain by James Baldwin. I've never read anything of James Baldwin. I do have another one of his books on my list, which is Jimmy's Blues and Other Poems. This one is about a young boy coming to terms with his sexuality and his life. So I'm super interested to go into that one and excited. Next, we got Song of Solomon by Toni Morrison. Once again, Toni Morrison, difficult to understand, but I still read her stuff because she's pretty good at writing. Next, we got As I Lay Dying by William Faulkner. The little thing got off because of the stickers in the back. But I didn't have this one on my list, but I've heard a lot of rave about William Faulkner and stuff that I read about writers. So I decided to, why not, go ahead and get a book of his. Next, we got Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. This one wasn't on my list as well, but it is a Nobel Prize winner. So I want to say I'm bougie. If I see Pulitzer Prize, Nobel Prize, I'm like, let me see what the hype is, because I want to know why people nominated this. Why did it win? What's the hype? Probably basic. But it's about university students and figuring out why they are so special. And then last but not least, we got Still Lives by Maria Hummel, which is about this person working at an art museum, and they have this model who is portraying the Black Dahlia and other people, and she goes missing and she is dead, and they're trying to figure out what happened. So those are all the books. Like I said, I'm truly ashamed of myself. But I'm glad that I finished this and I was able to show you guys all. I'm sorry that I went through it all so fast, but I didn't want this video to be so long with all of the books and me describing it and but I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope that maybe one of these will pique your interest, and I'm gonna try to get around to doing book reviews as well, because only one person told me that they'd be interested in it, but that's at least one person. So maybe that one person will turn into like 2 other people, and then on and on and on and on and on and on. But there we go. So I hope that you guys will still make time to read my book, Then the Flowers Found Me, Prose Unspoken by Lucy Isaula.